Episode 34. If Jesus ended the Sabbath, why did his disciples keep it after the cross? Key text, Luke 23:56. And they returned, and prepared spices and ointments, and rested the Sabbath day, according to the commandment. If Jesus ended the Sabbath at his death, why did his disciples, the very ones who walked with him, learned from him and loved him, still keep the Sabbath after the cross? Luke 23:56 says it plainly. And they returned, and prepared spices and ointments, and rested the Sabbath day according to the commandment. This wasn't Old Testament law. This wasn't Mosaic ceremonial rituals. This was New Testament behavior from the followers of Christ after his crucifixion. Let's set the scene. Jesus had just died on the cross. The sky turned black. The earth shook. The veil in the temple was torn. The atoning blood had been shed. If there was ever a time to declare, the Sabbath is over, it would be now. But what did his followers do? They rested on the Sabbath, according to the commandment, not out of habit, not out of Jewish culture, but in obedience, because the Sabbath was still holy. Let that sink in. These women had every reason to keep working. They were preparing burial spices for the Son of God. Their hearts were shattered. Time was running out before sundown. But still, they stopped. Why? Because no mission, not even burying Jesus, was greater than obeying God's command. And if the Sabbath had been abolished at the cross, why didn't the Holy Spirit stop them? Why didn't the Gospel writers clarify it? Why didn't an angel appear and say, "You're free from the law now. Keep going"? Because nothing changed. God never changed the day. Jesus never abolished it. The disciples never broke it. And it gets even clearer in Acts 13:42-44, Acts 16:13, and Acts 17:2. Years after the resurrection, the apostles were still keeping the Sabbath. They were preaching on it. Gentiles were gathering on it. New Testament churches were assembled on it. So here's the question no Sunday pastor can answer. If Jesus changed the Sabbath to Sunday, why is there not one single verse where any of his disciples say so? Not one verse commanding Sunday worship. Not one verse canceling the fourth commandment. Not one verse stating that Christ's resurrection replaced God's holy day. What we do see is Revelation 14:12 declaring, "Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God and the faith of Jesus." Not the traditions of men, not the customs of Rome, the commandments of God. And the fourth is still one of them. So who changed it? Rome did. Church councils did. Pagan influence did. But never God. Malachi 3:6 says, "I am the Lord, I change not." Ecclesiastes 3:14 says, "Whatsoever God doeth, it shall be forever." So if God blessed the Sabbath, sanctified the Sabbath, commanded the Sabbath, and Jesus kept the Sabbath, then it's still binding after the cross. Don't let theologians rewrite what God never revoked. The silence of Sunday in the New Testament is deafening, but the sound of Sabbath obedience echoes all the way to Revelation. So here's your challenge. If the disciples kept the Sabbath after the cross, if Jesus rested in the tomb on the Sabbath, and if God still commands it in the end times, what makes you think you're exempt?